I have myself on mute. All right, here we are. Hello, 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 beautiful people. Thank you so much for signing on to join this presentation Q&A. I really appreciate it. And again, I hope this information is helpful for you because I love sharing these vibes with the community. I love sharing these vibes with people who want to heal, who want to figure out how to heal, and just figuring out like it's a process to do that. It's a journey. So my name is Maya Robinson. I am a social worker. I'm a therapist and a life coach for the I Am movement. And today, like I said, is a Q&A session about wellness. I did a panel, a virtual panel discussion a couple weeks ago regarding church hurt. And I had some panelists to talk about some of the things that may have caused that church hurt, things to bring some encouragement to continue your spiritual journey despite the adversity and things like that, and just kind of debunking some of the myths or just some of the things that can get people away from the church or spirituality. And through that, I got some questions about mental health, about wellness that I wanted to address. And so that's why I did this Q&A session today, just to provide some guidance and just to, again, encourage you not to give up. And that there is fear with, following your dreams, with keeping on the path. But I want to help you feel that fear and heal anyway. Okay. That's my goal. And again, just answering some of these questions that you guys have today. So I hope it's helpful for you. So I love this quote. I think I mentioned it last time when I did a panel, but I use this quote a lot. This is your country, this is your world, and you must find a way to live within all of it. And this is by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I got this from a book that I read called Between the World and Me. And that's a whole nother look, that will be a whole nother workshop because he definitely gave me some guidance on my journey and things like that. But I like this quote because it talks about it talks about everything. Like you have to live within all of it, the things that come to us that's stressful, that's discouraging, all of those things. So it's important to figure out how you can live through all of that, in the best way that works for you. So that is my goal. That is why I have this quote, because I want to emphasize that you can get through this world. You can survive and live through this world when you find a way to live within all of it your way. Okay. So I wanted to go over some things because of the questions that I was asked in the registration, just to kind of go through some things that kind of gets in the way of us taking care of our mental health or seeking mental health support or any type of support, some of the things that can get in the way of that. And so I believe in order for us to figure out how we start or figure out how we can live within all of the stuff that the world comes with, we have to acknowledge what are those things that make it difficult. We have to acknowledge those things that affect us, and how we function on a day-to-day basis, and then see what strategies might help alleviate some of those challenges or some things to put in place to again help you live your best life. Okay. So for example, I have people like to, do the good side. Not the good side, but I would say people like to focus on what they have to do. They have to take kids to school. They have to, like, if your parents to babies, you have to change the diaper, you have to feed them. Those are priorities, right? But I'm here to tell you that you are a priority too. And so it's important for you to incorporate yourself as a priority in addition to those priorities. And so some of these things, like managing responsibilities, like, kids can get in the way of managing our mental health or managing our wellness or even incorporating wellness in our life. Managing those responsibilities, dealing with anxiety, dealing with loss. We're in a holiday season where some people see the holidays as a trigger because they lost someone or something traumatic happened in their life. And so the holidays isn't that happy time of year for some people. Getting to the bag, okay? Getting to the bag can definitely get in the way of managing your mental health. I am one who struggles with that because I'm focused on getting in the bag. And when I am struggling financially, self-care, managing my mental health is something that I have put on the back burner up until recently. And it's a constant learning journey, but getting to the bag can also, like, making money, making sure you have stable income, can hold precedence over taking care of yourself and managing mental health. And so again, getting to the bag, making that money is a priority. But how can we incorporate you as a priority as well when you get in the bag? So a lot of these things can stop us from taking care of ourselves because we think these things are more important, and they are important, but you are important too. Okay. So I want to help you figure out how to incorporate all your priorities with and adding you in there as well. Okay. So because I have these questions around mental health and wellness, I wanted to hit on and emphasize coping skills and self-care strategies. So all of the examples that we just talked about before, just managing responsibilities, financial stability, things like that, are all examples of things that can get in the way of self-care. And so in addition to that, coping skills are things that we practice when we notice that we're struggling with those things. We're struggling with finances, or we're struggling with loss, we're struggling with anxiety. Coping skills are those things that could help alleviate it in the moment, or these are some things that can help you become more of a priority so you can manage those things better, those uncomfortable things better. So coping skills are any habit that reduces stress. And so we have coping skills that sometimes are not healthy. For example, I love sweets. I love desserts, like cookies, brownies, donuts. Ooh, I have a problem. And so over time, I learned that I am an emotional eater. So when I'm stressed or when I'm angry, I go straight to food. So that is a coping skill, but it's not so healthy, especially with desserts and stuff. My body don't get snatched, okay, because I keep eating them sweets over my emotions. So we have those type of coping skills in place, but sometimes they're not as healthy, or they don't help us get out of that stressful state of mind, or that anxiety state of mind, and things like that. And so coping skills, it can be something you can do in the moment. So instead of me going to my brownies, if I'm mad or emotion, I go to Zumba, which I will talk about that soon. Okay. Zumba is a coping skill that helps me alleviate the stress. It helps me burn some calories, but also helps me feel good and things like that. And it reduces the overwhelmness feeling that I have in that moment. So that's an example of a coping skill. So to that, I wanted to address some of these questions that we have from the last panel. I wanted to go over some of these questions that some of you asked, and I wanted to give some clarity, like I said, give some guidance, and hopefully help you feel that fear, acknowledge it, acknowledge the stress, acknowledge what you're going through, but still heal anyway. You can do both, okay? So the first question I got was, how do you deal with setbacks? So that's a good question. It depends on the setback. Like, what do you think is a setback to you? And if a setback is something like, what we talked about what in the other slide, managing responsibilities. Maybe you're going to college and you have a job and you have kids, and you're trying to navigate all of that, or you just went through a breakup or divorce. It depends on the setback. And I would say dealing with setbacks is the first step is acknowledging it, acknowledging that this is a setback because I'm not functioning the way I used to. I'm not functioning at the capacity that I consider normal. So identifying what your setback is, how it's making you feel, or how it's impacting you is so important. So I would say, just in general, identifying that setback, identifying what you're struggling with. And again, and then from there on, like figuring out what would help you. You know, what are some things, like we're talking about coping skill, what are some things that bring you peace? What are some things that help you kind of step away from all your priorities that you have to do? So that's kind of the good step to go into, identifying that setback, identifying how it's making it difficult for you to keep on going, and then figuring out what helps you remain at peace, or what helps you again step away from your priority so you can kind of reset. And so to that point, resetting, I would say is a good point, is a good thing to do. And I say reset meaning, again, taking a break from your priorities. And I know it can look different. It's not always taking PTO or taking time away from the kids. All of those things aren't possible, but there are little things that you can do to alleviate that stress or alleviate that setback. And I will also say to that, a setback is set up for a comeback. Okay, so if you feel like you're going backwards, it's happening for a reason. It's happening because you either recognize something that you didn't recognize in the moment of that setback, um, or you realize like, okay, I didn't notice this before, but now I do. So learning as you go is important as well. And so don't get discouraged if you are in a setback. Your setback is set up for a comeback, okay? And just figuring out how you want to come back and do that thing. So the next question is, what are the signs of mental health issues? And what support or resources are there for that? To the first question, signs of mental health issues, that's a very it's pretty general. So mental health is a range of things. It could be diagnosis, it can be again struggling with anxiety. It can be not sleeping. It can be let's see, it could be responding, you know, in an irate or aggressive tone. So those things can lead to mental health issues. So when you're saying signs of mental health issues, I would say if you're dealing with something that prevents you from operating at your normal capacity. So, for example, you know, if you're a overachiever like myself, I definitely go over and beyond. You know, I try to do stuff before or by the deadline, and so if I find myself not sleeping, you know, throughout the day, not throughout the day, but throughout the week, there are a couple days that I don't sleep, or I'm being a little spicy to my fiance because his persona is just mellow all the time. When we argue, it's usually me being spicy. So if I find myself doing those things like not sleeping, or again just being more angry or being more irritable, those are some signs to say, okay, I need to address this somehow. And so if you don't, it can lead to mental health issues like anxiety diagnosis or depression, or that continuing lack of sleep and things like that. So those are some of the things that you can notice. Just if your body is not responding, or if you feel yourself not working at the same normal capacity that you usually do, that's a sign that you might need to, you know, address it somehow. Because anxiety, stress, lack of sleep, all those things can go into a diagnosis. So just being mindful of how you work normally and just noticing those things. So listening to your body, listening to your intuition is what people say. Sometimes is very important because that's how you recognize something's not right and I need to figure out how to do it. Next question, how do I stay mentally healthy? Oh, um, I would say, again, everything that we talked about up to this point, figuring out what your niche is, figuring out what helps you be healthy. And I would say the most important thing that I found out or that I've realized over time with my healing journey is finding something that brings you joy. And it is not something that that brings you joy every day, but something that you can tap into when you're feeling not mentally healthy, when you're again feeling those body reactions, like you find yourself not sleeping. Finding something that brings you joy is very important to help you stay healthy. You know, there's been studies and other professionals have said that laughing, for example, can help with your mental health because you're releasing those chemicals. And you know, dancing, again, I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. But dancing, moving your body, deep breath work. Breath work is so important. It's often underestimated, you know, to me, and I was one of those people to do that because I'm like, breathing, meditation, I'm just going to sit still. I can breathe already. But there's something about that exhale that lets your body know that it's okay. When you do a deep exhale, you're telling your body that you're safe, that right now you don't have a lot to worry about, and it's okay. So that deep breath work is very important. But again, finding something that brings you joy can be a thing that you can tap into when you are not feeling mentally healthy. Um, Another thing I would say with that is surrounding yourself with people that contribute to your mental health, you know, contribute to your living mental health, living life with a good mental health mindset. There you go. So yeah, surrounding yourself with people that are for you, you know, and want you to be well. Um, Also giving you feedback to how to be well. So, you know, language is very important. So I would tell clients or even tell some of my friends, like, I noticed this is going on, or I notice you doing this and that. Is everything okay? You know, so surrounding yourself with people that will hear you and will validate that you are going through something, and them asking like, what can they do to help? So surrounding yourself with support is very important. It could be a therapist, it could be friends, it could be a group, you know, that, you know, on Facebook that you can get that support from. So bringing joy, surrounding yourself, um, and again, finding out what works for you. Okay. And that's just some few points that I have. I'm gonna go into some of that, you know, later on this year because I got other stuff going on. I got vibes brewing. Vibes are brewing. Okay. All right. Next question. At what point do you transition from depending on your religious practice to therapy? Ooh. Okay. So like I said, I did a panel a couple weeks ago regarding church hurt and coping during the holidays, and church hurt like kind of being the topic of that. And so to this question, I don't think you I don't think you have to transition exactly. I think sometimes it's about putting it in a different lens. So if you are religious, like you practice your faith and you're thinking about therapy, you can still practice your faith and go to therapy. You know, there's a lot of shirts now saying, first of all, try God or try therapy. Try therapy, not me, or try God, not me. You can do both, or try therapy. You know, that's you can do both. You can do therapy and still practice your religion, and it's about giving one or the other, putting it in its proper box. So religion, for example, like I believe in God. I'm a Christian, so I still practice my faith. I still pray. I still like I listen to TD Jakes a lot for that spiritual guidance. But I still go to therapy. Therapists, social workers go to therapy, absolutely. So I do both. I do both. I still practice by listening to the sermon, by praying, listening to different messages that build my spirituality. But I still go to therapy, and if your spirituality is the reason why you're going to therapy, again, that's about putting it in your box in your life. So, you know, if you want to put your spirituality or your religion in one box and therapy in another, that's okay. That's okay too, you know, because what you address in your religion or your spirituality is not always intertwined with your therapy or with your mental health. You know, it definitely can for some people, but not always. So you can do both. And so the transition, I would say, it's about giving it a different lens than you have been. So maybe not giving so much dependency to religion, and giving it to therapy, or vice versa. So not putting all your eggs in the therapy and getting that, getting all your eggs in that basket. Um, you can also bring some energy to your religion. So you can do both. You can do both, and it's just giving it a different picture for your life. So if you feel like your religion is taking over, to where it is pouring into your mental health, just identifying that again, identifying what the struggle is, what the stress is, and figuring out, how can I do both? How can I practice my religion and being confident in my religion and spirituality, and still seek therapy and get the mental health support that I need? So I hope that answered your question about transitioning from religious practice to the therapy. You can do both. It's just about looking at it in a different way for your life. Somebody asks, why is mental health important? Hmm Mental health is important because it is a part of your overall health. The way that people go to the hospital, go to the ER because they're feeling sick or they're feeling ill. It's the same with mental health, and unfortunately, um, mental health isn't seen the same as going to the ER, which it's a little different because it's a physical thing that's happening to your body. But the mental health part is a mental thing that can happen to your mind and it manifests into your body. So if you don't take care of your mental health, it can manifest in your body. For example, I am a victim and survivor of rape, and because I didn't at first, the first year or so, I didn't seek therapy. I was trying to just survive, and I felt my body changing, and it was changing in a physical way. I had a lot of physical pain going on. I wasn't working out. I wasn't moving like that to where, physical activity would have my body feel like that. I wasn't doing any of that. And so when I finally got in counseling and I explained what was going on, they were saying that, the trauma, can manifest into your body, even if it's not like it wasn't a an attacking situation, but it's that fight, flight, or freeze. I can't ever say that fast. That fight part, or that freeze part that can send your body to that place. So if you mental health is important because it can manifest into your body, and when your body's in pain, that's when it makes it hard to deal with life. It makes it hard to do those responsibilities and those priorities that you have to do on a day to day. So that is why mental health is important. It caters to your overall health, and if not, that mental health issue can manifest into your body and send it more into pain that that makes it harder to deal with, and makes it difficult to keep on managing those other priorities that you have. So that is why mental health is important, in short. Okay. I could talk about that all day, and I would also, in that question, that trauma is something that affects your well-being. It affects your function, like how you function in life, how you interact with people. Trauma can affect that. And so if you don't address that trauma, again, identifying what it is, how it caters to how you trust people, how you interact with people, that's important. And so mental health and trauma is one and the same, because if you don't address the trauma, it can turn into a mental health issue. I hope that answered your question. I know I said a mouthful. All right. The other question was just wanting to navigate these conversations with clients. So I guess this was another mental health professional. And to that, I say, first thing I would say, I would always ask if religion or spirituality, things like that, come up in sessions, always asking before you move forward, because say if they mentioned it, um, and you're a different religion. So, somebody's Muslim and you're Catholic, asking them, are you comfortable moving forward? Are you comfortable continuing this conversation due to, our different religions and things like that? I see those opportunities as a learning opportunity. If I was Catholic and this person is Muslim, I can learn more about Muslim practice. I can learn more about this person and again find out what helps them, heal, and incorporating maybe their spirituality in that by getting to know them. So first of all, first asking those questions of, are you comfortable? Do you want to move forward with this conversation? I would say that that could be the first step. And then if you are going into it more, seeing it as a learning opportunity versus are they trying to convert me, or judging their practice versus yours. Like, see it as a learning opportunity, like learning more about that person and their religion and how it incorporates how that incorporates into their healing, if that's something that they want to do. So I would say that. And TD Jakes had a good example. He did an interview with the Breakfast Club about they were asking him how does he feel about other preachers, being more gimmicky, kind of more having more prompts, and just the newfangled thing going on with church. And he was like, it may not be what he prefers, but he's not going to, judge someone for, doing all those things. As long as they're bringing the people in and they're getting something out of it. So it's about you. It's about what works for you at the end of the day. And again, if it's uncomfortable, we can switch the conversation. But it's about what works for you, what works for that client, and also just seeking that extra guidance with your supervisor, or with other entities that can help you navigate that. But definitely asking about if they're comfortable moving forward with that conversation is a good first step to again assess that comfortability with the conversation. Last question. I think this is the last. Nope, actually, no, it's not. So can prayer and therapy help with your healing process? And why do people in the church look down on therapy? Ooh, yes, indeed. So I will say this in my experience, prayer, and practicing your religion or practicing your spirituality builds your faith. It builds your spirituality. And therapy can build your mind and motivation to walk in the path that was created for you. And like I said, feeling that fear and healing anyway. Okay. So that's what I would say to that. And again, you can do both. You can do both. So it's kind of like that other question. You can do God and therapy. You can do, Muslim and Catholic and therapy. You can do both. It's because it's your life, and you have to figure out how to live within all of it. Okay, so you can do both. Again, it's just thinking about how it's going to look for you in your life. Okay. To the second question, I've heard as far as why people look down on therapy, like people in the church look down on therapy. I've heard that seeking therapy over time, I'm a social worker, so I've heard some things about that. So I've heard that people who seek therapy, like people think that people in the church think that because they seek therapy, they don't believe in God enough, for example. So going to therapy can mean not having enough faith in your higher power, or giving your emotions too much power. To that, I would say this: whether it's God, Allah, or the universe, whatever you pray to and things like that, we're created for different gifts, and therapists have they're trained to have compassion and to give empathy, to be emotionally validating, and these are some things that the churches don't have, or your religion may not emphasize on. But we have emotions. We're human. So we have to address it somehow, and not giving it so much power, but we definitely got to address it. We definitely have to identify that I feel hurt because of that, not staying stuck in it, but definitely identifying, giving it the time that it needs, so you can heal. And that's what I say to that. Like, we were created for different gifts. And so whether it's God or Allah, like, we were created for different things. So me as a social worker, I feel I was created to help people and to provide or facilitate some type of empowerment to people. My fiance is great at math. He's very good at numbers. So he was created to help people with math, not me. I did not get that gift. And so I look at it like that. Like, we are created for different things, and it's okay to seek people for different things. Again, going back to the physical health, you go to the ER because you need help with this physical pain or with this gash, or whatever happened to your body physically. You need that doctor to help you, to help it heal, to help that scar heal. And so it's okay to seek that. It's okay to seek support. If you don't have it, if you don't have it with other entities. So if you don't have it in the church, it's okay to seek it in other places, and making sure that it's healthy for you at the end of the day. So I could also say with the stigma behind looking down on therapy or social work, mental health, things like that. A lot of black and brown families frown upon therapy because we don't want people in our business, especially people we don't know. This is a complete stranger knowing about my trauma. Like, that is something that I struggled with going to therapy, because I'm like, they don't see me as this fragile chick. And this person, like, I don't know this person from a can of paint. I know they trained, but do I want to tell them my business? I went through that. But I got to a place where I'm like, I don't want to feel like this. So I took a chance on that. Like, I took a leap of faith and tried therapy continuously, and it has been helpful. So I would say that too. Like, the stigma around therapy has been kind of, I would say, a reason as well. Because I would say we we look at therapy too like a mandated thing sometimes. So me being in social work, I was social work is labeled as, oh, child protective services, going to court, and therapy being mandated by the court. As has been that stigma when it comes to social work and mental health. And telling people like, no, it's more than that. It's more than just calling DCFS or calling child protective services. It's more than that. And so it's educating people around that. So I hope that answered your question. You can still do both. And again, prayer and things like that can help build your faith, and therapy can help build your mind back up, and motivate you to keep walking in that path unapologetically. All right. So I got two more questions. So someone said, can the side effects of medication cause anxiety in a cancer survivor? Um, I don't know much about cancer survivors. But I would say, first of all, kudos to you, strong person, for surviving this thing. That is awesome that you are working through that and trying to survive and heal through that. And just kudos to you for just keep working that thing. And if you are taking medication that can cause anxiety, it's important to talk to your doctor about that. So going back to noticing those things in your body, like noticing something different that's usually not there, it's important to let your doctor know about that. Medication can increase side effects, or it can bring side effects with anything. So if you notice something like that, you notice something different in your body when you're taking medication, definitely get with your doctor. My fiance actually was taking some blood pressure medicine, and he realized that he started having back pain, like, severely, and he hasn't had it in a while because he's been working out and things like that. So he was like, what the heck is going on? And so he searched and looked at the possible side effects to that medication, and he saw that one of the side effects is back pain. So you can do your own research, but doctors say not to do that. If you're going to go to the doctor, but definitely tell your doctor about that if you're experiencing that and it's not supposed to be there. Okay. Let's see. I'll say last question. How do you start conversation with loved ones who have not identified the source of their suffering? Oh, how do you start the conversation with loved ones who have not identified the source of their suffering? So I'll say this, you can't help people that don't want to be helped. You can identify, and like I said, letting them know, like, hey, I noticed this. I noticed this is going on. This is kind of different for you. Is everything okay? And if they're defensive, it's like, no, I'm fine. Like, ain't nothing going on with me. I'm good. You got to meet them where they are, and if it's making you suffer and again, bringing that stress, bringing that anxiety to you, do what's best for you to keep healing and to not put yourself in a position where it's is providing that negative or bringing those negative feelings back. So if you can identify it, always identify. If you care about that person, you want them to be okay, identifying that for them. But if they're defensive and they're not ready, because that's ultimately what it comes down to, like they're not ready to identify or ready to deal with the stuff. Sorry, there's a vacuum cleaner going on. I don't know if you hear it, but yeah, if they're defensive to it, all you can do is acknowledge it. And again, if they're defensive to the point where it's affecting you, do what you need to do to keep your peace, okay, and maintain your peace. Because if you continue to tell them, hey, you're still going through this, you're still dealing with this, you're still acting like this, it could come off as attacking, it could come off as, criticizing or something like that. And, that's not our intention, is to come off like that, but sometimes it can if we continue to identify the bad things that they're showing, and not listening to that, like they're struggling or they're suffering from that. So meeting them where they are. If they're not ready to talk about it, they're not ready to address it, just continuing to encourage them, that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to say it sucks. It's okay to say I am not here for it. It's okay to say those things. So encouraging them that way, moving forward, and just meeting them where they are. If they're not ready, if they become defensive, meet them where they are and just encouraging them to say it's okay. Like it's okay that you're in a bad space. It doesn't make you less of a person. It doesn't make you weak or anything like that. So I would say encouraging them, like providing that affirmation, providing that empathy. So if they say they're not going through anything, or they're not saying they're not depressed, but you still see that they are acting, that way. So depression, one of the one of the like symptoms or behavior to depression is isolation. So if you constantly see them isolating themselves and saying, no, I don't want to go out, I don't want to do this, but they usually do. They usually go out, they usually go to the family gathering, but they're not. Still checking in with them and say, hey, I want you to know I miss you. Like I wish you were here. I wanna hang out sometime. Or again, just encouraging them, saying like you are awesome. I hope you have a good day. So just providing that encouragement, um, where you're still identifying like, hey, I've still noticed these things, but you're doing it in an encouraging way. So if they're isolating themselves, again, encouraging them to say, I want you to be here, but I get it, and just sending something funny, sending some type of affirmation to let them know that you're thinking about them and you want them to be okay. So I would say that, just if they become defensive after identifying, just providing that encouragement and that empathy over time, it can help. All right. So to that, um, I know I talked about a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some resources in the chat because I love giving resources. And these resources are a plethora of community resources, mental health, wellness. I think there's like some classes in there, wellness classes, nonprofits, mentorship type of organizations. So all of these things you can access, and these can also can be part of your coping skills or being part of your self-care, being a part of community in different ways. So that is the link for the community resources. And like I said, it's a lot. It's a lot. I think there's worksheets on there too. So you can definitely access that to figure out what works for you as well. So that's a resource for you. All right. All right. I got like 15 minutes left. I want to try to do this, give this information out to you guys. So mental health and movement is something that I am passionate about. I am a passionate advocate for mental health, and I have a gift to incorporate movement with mental health. I've been able to do that with my Zumba classes. And so with the Zumba classes, I've incorporated affirmation, I've incorporated checking in with yourself, letting your body know that you're about to go through something, but you got this, okay? You are progress. That is something that I do in my class. Okay. So throughout this like past year, I've been getting certified because I love sharing these vibes, and I love, again, incorporating that mental health piece to let people know that, you don't have to know how to do all the moves. You don't have to know how to salsa, merengue. You can just shake some, okay? You can just shake some. That's it. And so I've got certified in multiple ways to share these vibes. Zumba Basic is a high intensity class. And it's kind of like my favorite because I be going, okay? But I am mindful of my audience, so I do have modified steps like that, but and things like that. But Zumba Basic is more high intensity. I recommend this class for like maybe middle school, like, yeah, starting in middle school all the way up to adulthood. So middle school, high school kids, older adults who like high intensity, I would probably recommend Zumba Basic for that. So I've recommended that for more middle school, high school kids. I do that mostly at Cookies Dance Den, which I will get into that in a second, where I do high intensity Zumba, where it's a lot of it's fast moves, but I cue them in sometimes just because I know what it's like to not know the moves and feel self-conscious. Again, overachiever over here. So that's what encouraged me to say, just shake some. You don't have to know all the moves. You don't have to do the same moves that I do. Just shake some, okay? Find your groove. So that's Zumba Basic. Zumba Kids and Kids Junior. They're for our little Zumba fans. And instead of doing like a full playlist, like a Cookies Dance Den, I do several songs in a playlist. But with Zumba Kids and Kids Junior, I'm doing like one or two songs, maybe depending on the attention span of the kids. But yeah, instead of a full playlist, I do like one or two songs, and I give education around the rhythm or the song. Like for example, explaining that reggaeton originated from Panama, but it's a very common genre in Puerto Rico, or like there's a song called Todo el Mundo. I do that. I say what it is in English, which is all over the world or all over the world. So I do things like that. And I do different games like red light, green light, circle dancing, like the Soul Train line. So I make it very interactive with Zumba Kids and Kids Junior. The next one is Zumba Gold. These are for my seasoned adults. I call them Cajun season. They have a lot of spice and a lot of wisdom, rightfully so. That's what I call my seasoned adults. So these are my, senior citizen population who still want to shake something, but just maybe at a lower intensity. I do more modified moves. So instead of doing this, we can do this. Okay. So I do it at a slower pace. I modify. And another thing special about Zumba Gold is you can also dance in a chair. So if you're not able to stand up for a long time and move standing up, you can do it in a chair. And this also can be for people who have had injuries to where you can't stand up for a long time. So using a chair in Zumba can be helpful for that as well. And you can still break a sweat. Okay. So those are all the Zumba classes that I am certified in. I love sharing these vibes. I love doing the affirmations because it helps people. And I have I've had people say like in the survey that I give that it helps motivate them and helps them feel more comfortable to say just shake some. That's it. Um, it's been very encouraging for me. And again, I love sharing these vibes, and I want to let you know that there's another way to heal. Like dancing has been my healing process. It's been a part of my healing process. So it doesn't have to just be therapy. It doesn't have to just be, your religion or spirituality. It can be all of that and dance. It can be all of that and therapy. It can be all of that and, community involvement. Like it can incorporate your healing, can be included can include your healing can include anything you want it to be as long as it's healthy. Okay. um so the next one is not Zumba, but I got trained and certified through Zumba for this class called Circle Mobility. And Circle Mobility emphasize like the full body wellness through the mobility, the flexibility, and that breath work that I talked about. There's different exercises that emphasize the mobility, the breath work, and flexibility. And it optimizes how you move your body through daily life. For example, I've had bodily reactions to past trauma that I thought I went over, that I thought I dealt with, but I just closed the box. I did not clear it out. And so my body has been reacting in that body aching way that I mentioned earlier. And I thought to myself to do circle mobility just to get my body moving. I didn't feel like doing Zumba or anything like that, which is what I usually do if I'm feeling bad, but I didn't feel like it. And so I was like, I need to move my body because this pain is infuriating. So I tried circle mobility yesterday, and when I tell you, like, there's this move where you go all the way around, kind of like a clock, and I felt my body like release, but it was painful. It was painful. I got teary-eyed to that point because I knew where that pain was coming from, and the release was just like, ugh. So I say that to say circle mobilities can be for those bodily reactions to trauma as well. But this is also good for people who want to increase flexibility, or people that are not so active but feel they need to get their body moving in some type of way. Like I said, if you had injuries, maybe you did work out, that was your normal thing, and you got the injury where you can't move as much. Circle mobility is a good first step for that as well. But I've learned again as of yesterday, circle mobility can be good for people who have trauma and it manifests through their body sometimes. It's good for that too. Okay. And so as we come to a close, I wanted to give some reminders. I say reminders, sis, because I do a lot of Zumba classes with women. So that's why I have that reminder, sis, at the top, but I do not discriminate. Okay. I did a Zumba class in Inglewood these past couple months, like from September to this month. And I had boys in my class, and they were finding their groove. Okay. They didn't want to do this, so they just bounce like this. Okay, so I don't discriminate, but I do have mostly women and girls in my classes, so that's what that's for. But I wanted to give some reminders because going over what your mental health looks like, finding those things that are stressful, identifying those things that are stressful, can sometimes put us in a state like, man, I want to do this. I'm trying this coping skill and it's not working. I'm still feeling like crap. It's okay to need practice. It's okay to keep practicing, and relearning takes time, and that's okay. Because you're not only trying a coping skill, but sometimes with that coping skill, you're relearning, sometimes unlearning too, but you're relearning how to live life. You may have survived this whole time and just now starting to heal, or wanting to heal now. So these things take practice and it takes time. Relearning how to socialize with people after you dealt with certain traumas or certain challenges, what that looks like. How do you maneuver life and after a loss, for example, or after experiencing an anxiety attack. Those things take time to heal. And so when you're practicing these coping skills, when you're, researching how to balance all this stuff, it's okay to need practice. It's okay to do it over and over again until it sticks. And if it doesn't work for you, it's okay to find something else too. I am an advocate of finding a therapist that works for you. Every therapist is not for everybody, and so if the first therapist don't work, please don't get discouraged. Please don't get discouraged. We are all not like that. If you had a therapist that was not empathetic, or didn't provide that compassion, or didn't meet you where you are, all of us are not like that. So don't get discouraged. Try us again. Try therapy again if you like, or try Zumba, try some type of movement activity that works for you. Okay. And it's okay to keep doing things to figure out what works for you. So it's okay to need practice. Accountability can be kind. You don't have to beat yourself up. I also struggle with that. Okay. Perfectionist, overachiever. I find myself um, talking down on myself sometimes when I'm making a mistake. Like, for example, my last job, I struggled with being late. And I would beat myself up to say, dang, Maya, you should have got gas the day before. And so now you're 10 minutes late. What's wrong with you? Like, get it together. You should have did that. I don't have to be accountable to, I don't have to say that to myself to be accountable. I can say something like, okay, I was 10 minutes late, and getting gas was part of it. Okay. So the next time when I know I need gas, I'm going to get it the day before I got to go somewhere, or the night before I got to go somewhere, if it's not too late. So telling myself, the action steps versus beating myself up, then saying the action steps. You can just say the action steps, saying, okay, next time I'm definitely going to get gas the day before, and let it be that, and get to the next day and say, okay, we here for the next day. So you don't have to beat yourself up to be accountable. You can definitely say, okay, I can do this better, without telling yourself like, what's wrong with you? Like, you should have did that. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. You can be accountable and kind. Okay. And last thing is just checking in with yourself, knowing how these things affect you, what works for you, and what brings you back to that again, that space of peace, and that space of, being able to again, figure out how to live life, the way you want to live it. So checking in yourself, identifying what your triggers are, identifying what makes you react in an unhealthy way sometimes. So those things that get you to a point where you want to curse somebody out, identifying that and saying, okay, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to curse you out again. So I'm just going to remove myself from this conversation. Like, that's an example of that. I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, so an example of that, like I said, my fiance is super mellow, and sometimes his voice gives the lack of emotion sometimes. And so I start to get a little like defensive. I start to get defensive, but I check in with myself and say, okay, it's not intentional. This is not this other relationship where I was triggered like that. So I don't have to respond, or I don't have to react. I don't need to curse him out, basically. I don't need to curse him out. I don't need to say, excuse me. I don't need to say all of that. I know who I'm talking to. I know that the intention is not malicious or anything like that. So I'm checking in with myself, but I'm also letting him know, like, I know you said this in goodwill, but I took it like that. And we have a conversation about that. So definitely checking in with yourself, listening to your body and understanding what makes you react in like a negative way or aggressive way. All right. And that's it. Okay. That is it. I'm sharing all of these vibes. Okay. Like I mentioned, I do in-person classes at Cookies Dance Den. Some vibes are brewing for Tees University under Cookie as well. So I do in-person Zumba classes there. I have one on January 13th, I believe. Yes, I believe so. December. Yep. I have one on January 13th, and I will share that link in the chat for y'all. Um, like I said, I have Vibes Brewing for Tees University because that's another entity that Cookie Daniels has, another business. And I love working there. Again, we're gonna talk about that later because I'm already a little over time. Um, and so that's in person. I do virtual classes with Fontanelli Art. Fontanelli Art has healing through art and movement. I also really love working with her. She does coaching calls as well. She's very spiritual, so I love that about her as well. So definitely check me out at Fontanelli Art. And last one is just my Zumba website. Check me out. I have virtual classes on there as well. They're recorded, so if you want to purchase that on the Zumba website, you can. And last link I'm going to share, or actually two more links. Two more links. It's a survey. I don't know if you're able to see it through Facebook, but if you need the link to the survey link to this presentation, I can provide it for you. And the last thing I'm going to share is just my contact info. It's through just a link called Blink, where I have all this stuff that I'm sharing now, including like my contact info where you can email me or message me or text me. All that's on there on this link right here, my contact info. And I have some of it right here. So you can follow me, you can email me, you can follow me on Facebook. I am the Zumba Amazon because I'm tall, I'm thick, and I'll be ready to shake something, okay? And then Instagram is never overrated, okay? Again, I got a lot of testimonies to share, and never overrated is a story, okay? It's a journey. So get with me, chat with me. I definitely look forward to supporting these vibes with you guys, sharing these vibes. I look forward to sharing these vibes with you guys because I love connecting with the community. I love providing this type of healing because it's needed. And again, I'm encouraging you guys to find your way to heal. There's not just one way, there's multiple ways. And I'm here to help you get through that and find your way to live unapologetically in this thing. Okay. I hope you guys have a great afternoon. It is Friday Eve. So I hope you have a great weekend. And again, shoot a message to your girl. I am here to share these vibes. Okay. See you later.